Thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're taking a trip to Willy's Wonderland.
Willy is Wonderland.
If you haven't seen the film starring Nick Cage, we highly suggest that you do so. It's
Get
a
in the
fucking
fucking
trip.
cage.
We're reviewing the film and then sitting down with the creator of Willy's Wonderland, Parsons, for an in-depth interview. Plus, Shudder's 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time Episode 1 airs this week, and we already got to check it out, so we're going to talk about it. And we're going to get baked, and hopefully you are too. All that and more today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. We're going to start this episode off like we do every episode and get baked. This is kind of the pregame segment of our show where, before we get into the real juicy stuff. It's time for Strain Wreck, the segment of our show where we discuss which strain we're getting wrecked on in each episode and discussing current events. Before I get started, John, what are we smoking?
Got some of that blackberry punch.
Oh, okay. We've had this before, right?
Yeah, well, we've had it. It's been a while. It's 18% THC. I got a little more information last time. I don't even think we probably even talked about it. We're probably too high. But surprising, you might find out that this flavor and aroma is berry.
Oh, well.
Might be surprising for blackberry punch. It's very calming. I mean, I'm always calm. The effects are happy, hungry, relaxed. Like we said, has berry flavor and, some other fruit. Negative, some people have complained of headaches, anxious, or paranoid, but I don't think I've ever had that.
Hopefully that doesn't kick in while
but
we're recording.
It's funny, it has it listed as negatives, but for what it helps with is 50% of people said it helps with the headache. So, either you're going to get a headache or it's going to help you headache.
Well, I mean,
you just got to smoke it to find out.
It's been a long time since I've had a bad high from any type of weed that I've smoked. I'll be straight with you.
Yeah, it hasn't been the weed specifically. It's been that I've smoked entirely too much and not drank enough water, so I dehydrated myself. I'm like, well, I got a headache. Oh, I smoked 6 bong packs, but I haven't fucking drank anything in like 2 hours.
Dude, I'll do that sometimes too. I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get my morning wake and bake out. I'll smoke like 2-3 blunts and I'll be like, God damn, I've been smoking for like an hour and a half and I still have not had a sip of water yet. My throat's all raspy and shit. I totally get you. Okay, but look, so late last week, we got our first look at Jamie Clayton as Pinhead for Hulu's upcoming Hellraiser film on October 7th. And I gotta say, she looks badass. She looks evil as shit. The Cenobites in this movie apparently have no clothes, and all of their clothing will actually be designs carved out of their skin. They're demons, right? They don't got time to get dressed.
They just got time to be horny.
They're going full body mutilation. I can't get that out. They're going full body mutilation dark with it, and I think it's a fucking great idea. It's the right way to go.
Maybe, I was going to say, maybe I'm in the wrong horror groups, but then I was going to say maybe I'm in the right horror groups. I'm surprised. I expected probably some portion to be like, oh, she's a woman. Not familiar with, really the source material. Mm-hmm. But I haven't really seen too many of that, and I'm pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like when it was announced that a female was going to play Pinhead, people were like,
there was a little bit of an uproar, but then when the first images came out, I thought that there was going to be more of that backlash. But
yeah, well, I think even Doug Bradley recently spoke out though at a con. He said something. I saw
something this week.
He kind of defended the film, saying that like it was always like the whole story was trans and everything. So like it's not like the movie's made now because it's sort of part of some movement. It's trying to make some sort of statement or social commentary. It's just actually being true to the source material, which was just ahead of its time. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's also another Cenobite called the Mask. That's MASQUE. It looks insane. I posted it on the Instagram earlier today in our story. The plot, by the way, of this new Hellraiser film is about a woman who's addicted to drugs and finds the box and opens it. They're not remaking the original film because director David Bruckner said that there really isn't any way of remaking the first film, and I agree. So they're starting this reboot off with a fresh story. Well, Hellraiser Inferno, the 5th Hellraiser film, dealt with drug addiction, so this won't be the first time that drugs and the box shared the screen, but I hope it's good. I want it to be good. Due to the source material, the novella, The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, I never had an issue with Pinhead being female or trans female. And I said before, the masculine Doug Bradley is not the Pinhead from the novella, so it's interesting, and I can't wait to see how it goes.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, can't be anything worse than 3 through the whole rest of them.
That's true. Not even the non Doug Bradley Pinheads. Just some of the actual Doug Bradley Pinhead movies are just terrible. So like, he's really, it can't hurt to try.
Well, I was gonna say he's good, just the right. I was thinking of part 3. I know some people like 3. 3 kind of seems to be the dividing point. People either think 1 and 2 are good and the rest suck, or 1, 2, and 3 and the rest aren't good.
Yeah, but 3 is where they try to turn him into Freddy Krueger, and it's like it doesn't work. They tried to
give. I was gonna say his character sucks, but it's not really him. It's not Doug's problem. It's so much the writing.
Yeah. He did a good job, but yeah, like I'm not a fan of. I don't like Pinhead dropping one-liners or spitting out bullets or being funny. Like I like my Pinhead dark as shit.
In the first one, he's got some one-liners, but
they're dark. They're not like funny. They're not witty. You know.
I was gonna say, speaking, you're talking about Doug Bradley interview. Want to bring up that interview? We were looking at stuff earlier this week. I think about it. The John Carpenter interview with the New Yorker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
My man's took the whole interview. And the guy said, I'm pretty sure he was playing Xbox the entire time I was talking to him. Oh, man. Who was it he shit on? Coppola, Spielberg, and somebody else.
Oh,
he called them like frauds or something like that.
I forget. Yeah. There was
because they asked him if he like hung out, and he was like, "No, I hung out with the horror guys like Tobe Hooper and George Romero."
Yeah. I remember something about that. Yeah, like how. I mean, that's cool though. He played video games through an entire interview though. Like,
and as much as Carpenter's our favorite director, I think the other thing I like is I appreciate his honesty for his movies that have sucked. Like he doesn't try to like he talked about Ghost of Mars. And he said the reason he got out of like directing and everything is he was watching a featurette that was being made for Ghost of Mars, and he looked at it and said, "Damn, I look old. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore." And he said by the time he got done making the movie, he was just tired, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm too old for this." And they asked him, "Is this the last Halloween?" And of course, John has the answer that we all know is true. He said, "Well, we'll see how much money it makes." Let's be honest. That is a worry.
I'm so glad that you said that, dude. Because here's the thing, I tend to not. I don't hold my opinion above anybody else's, but I do know that like when I speak about things, I speak from an educational standpoint. I'm one of those people that I try to be very articulate and very accurate in what I say. And you just brought up the whole making the money, Halloween making money, and it just reminded me. I literally almost went on a tangent on Facebook because when it was announced that Halloween Ends was going to be on Peacock and in theaters, so many posts on Facebook, on people on my timeline and in groups, so many people posting, "Oh, Halloween Ends is going to suck so bad, they're putting it out on Peacock. It's going to suck so bad. Well, I guess the studio knows it's going to suck." Like all these different, like, "Oh, it's going to suck." Like one of them was my friend. I'm not going to name him, but I literally saw a post and was going to snap on this person for making the post. And my friend commented, and it was agreeing. He's like, "Yeah, exactly. Kill sucked so bad that now they're just going to give up on this one and just put it straight to Peacock because they have no hope in it making money." And it's like, you stupid fucks. Halloween Kills made more money at the box office than Scream 5 did, and it was streaming on Peacock for free the same weekend when Scream 5 wasn't. It's not a fucking money issue. Nobody's looking at the movie and going, "Oh, it sucks so bad, we're going to let it stream." No, it's a contractual thing, and Halloween is still making enough money that they can afford to put it on a streaming service and at the box office because it's going to make so much fucking money. So all this like shit that's going around about people saying like, "Oh, it's going to Peacock because it sucks," and they know it sucks. No, that's not what it is at all. And like, so is that to say for everything? So Prey, like the new Predator film, that went to Hulu because everybody knew that was gonna suck. What about well, that's your opinion. That new fucking Jamie Foxx movie.
I've heard about
what the
this.
hell? I watched it. It was really good. I can't remember the name of it. It's on Netflix. The new Jamie Foxx movie. It just hit Netflix.
Day Shift.
There you go. So you mean to tell me because Day Shift went to Netflix and didn't go to theaters that everybody knew it was going to suck? Like, so all these movies that hit these streaming services are hitting such services because the studios think they suck? Why is there some bias against Halloween where if Halloween goes to streaming, it's because it sucks? It's fucking bullshit, and it's people just automatically wanting to shit on the film. And that's going to cause it to get negative reviews because people are already going in trying to shit on it. And also, that's going to lead to Michael Myers coming back because everybody's going to bitch about how it ends, and then fucking 10 years from now, somebody's going to come up with an idea and go, Halloween should have had a better ending. Let's do it again. And it's going to start all fucking over again. That's my opinion. Sorry for the rant. I kind of went on a rant there, but I got the vent finally. I had that on my chest for like a week, like listening to people bitch about some bullshit. It was
Halloween,
stupid.
And it's like Batman. There's just going to be somebody else that comes along with a different interpretation of it.
Exactly.
Some are going to be good. Some are going to be Rob Zombie. Or Joel Schumacher. Dude, see, I keep it going.
Speaking of which, you'll like this. Okay, so Odorous Urungus, the now deceased singer of Gwar, the original singer of Gwar, he had beef with Rob Zombie, and I read this article, and I thought, oh my god, I have to tell John. I was going to text you, but I'm glad I didn't. I saved it for now. Actually, I just popped up, so I didn't really save it. It just was. Now's the time to bring it up, though. So Odorous Urungus, he fucking went on this whole tangent about how Rob Zombie sucks. He was like Rob Zombie, you know, his whole stage performance is like Dracula and Frankenstein. And he's like, that was original like 100 fucking years ago, dude. Like he starts just ripping Rob about not being original. And he said that they asked him if he liked Rob Zombie's Halloween films, and he said they fucking sucked. And he said he said he's like his wife can't act for shit, but he still puts her in everything. Right. He said that is nepotism at its finest. And those remarks got Gwar kicked off of like the Mayhem Festival. Rob Zombie had Gwar thrown off the festival, and they had beef ever since. So Odorous Urungus for the win.
I'm afraid this might. Yeah, I was gonna say it might get us in some hot water with certain people, but fuck it. I owe Rob Zombie an apology.
Oh shit, really?
He is not the worst director in his own family. I love Power Man 5000, but Allegoria was not good. That first like 5 minutes was good with that like scene, but then the whole rest of it, who cares? So Rob, you're not the worst director in your family, so at least you got that. Maybe we should have an award and send it to Rob Zombie. It says not the worst director in your family.
I mean, I don't think he'd ever even open the box when it came. He'd probably just be like, what the fuck is this?
Just be like right on their serious award, like Christmas Story.
That's a serious reward.
Anyway, it's probably time we move on. Bring back an old segment we haven't done in a while.
Yeah, that's right. There's Shudder's 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time. So let's get into Screaming Room, the segment of our show where we discuss which flicks or shows that we get sneak peeks of and advanced viewings.
All right. Yeah, we're back with the Screaming Room here. It's going to be 8 episodes, the 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time. It's an 8 episode, like I said, 8 episode. It's going to be 8 episodes. The first one airs this week, Wednesday, September 7th. And it's made by the producers who produced Eli Roth's History of Horror. And I know, I don't want to get you angry mentioning Eli Roth, but the History of Horror, I found that entertaining. It's
well produced, that's for sure.
Yeah, it has master filmmakers, genre experts, and at first I didn't read that it was 8 episodes, and I was watching the first episode, and I'm like, how in the hell are they going to fit the rest of these moments in this episode and the next episode?
Right, yeah, like in 2 45-minute episodes.
Because I think there was another screener we got that was a 2-parter, and I thought it was kind of like the same thing, and I was like, oh, okay. But I feel like sometimes it's just randomly a movie is just given a whole bunch of time compared to like other ones. Like I feel like in this one, if I can't remember if it was like 100 or 99, and I'm like, this is just like the middle of the like beginning of the list, and like it's given a lot of time. We saw Jennifer Reeder on.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Best, yep.
Yeah, but we had some Dracula movies. I think we've both agreed. Christopher Lee, best Dracula.
Well, I said Christopher Lee. You argued said Bela Lugosi. What
did I?
Did I? Oh shit!
Damn.
Are you that high that you forgot, or
did
I switch you? Did I convince you?
Maybe you convinced me. I mean, he does have the best meme with the red eyes.
Well, no, my thing with Christopher Lee is that Bela Lugosi was more like, accent, more like
a little rapey.
More like kind of like creeper, kind of like, like it's gentle biting, where it's like, why'd I say gentle biting? No, yeah, just like biting, and just kind of like almost like a romanticism to him, where Christopher Lee, like, he turns animalistic. He's running. He's like crawling across tables. He's crawling across tables, jumping over shit, like hissing. Like, he just became more animal, more scary.
I think, okay, so we could argue, but I mean, Peter Cushing got to be the best Van Helsing, right?
Of course, no, Hugh Jackman, bro.
Hugh Jackman, bro?
No, definitely Peter Cushing, of course.
Huge Jackman.
Well, I think that this show is kind of a reboot of the 2004 show on AMC, 100 Scariest Movie Moments. It's 18 years later, and they up it to 101 now. A lot of horror films have come out in that time, so a revamp does seem necessary. Only one of them is
good to make the list.
Yeah, only one of them. But I remember watching the first show, and it turned me on to a lot of horror films. I watched An American Werewolf in London because of it being featured on that show. That show hit me at the right time and age.
I feel like for maybe not people like you, because we've talked your hard knowledge as well, but maybe for people like me that have missed some things, I feel like the beginning of the list is going to be the good part, because I feel like it's going to be a lot of movies and I'm like, oh, let me check that out. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but like I remember watching, I went, oh, I want to check that out.
Oh, off the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like it'll probably be more the movies that are on this outer list, because they're going to be lesser known.
Yeah.
But I'll give them credit. I feel like it's a more diverse list.
Yeah.
Than 2004.
Yeah.
It just isn't all like mainstream.
It's not horror. They mix it in. It's a mixed bag of tricks. They're unbiased,
Yeah, we've watched a couple episodes at this point. Well, we
can only talk about the first.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, in general, like the genres, I guess the subgenres that they've covered, I feel like have been a good representation of kind of everything in horror.
Yeah, there's only been one movie that I've disagreed with being on the list so far, but it's in episode 3, so I won't mention it yet.
I haven't got the episode.
But
and also these are going to be out every Wednesday, starting
this
on
Wednesday.
the 7th.
Yep, starting 2 days from now. Well, the thing is, I'm watching this show, and I've seen every film that they've mentioned so far, everything new and everything old, and it's pretty crazy to think that, I spent the last 18 years watching so many horror films and nothing's new to me. Like, I went from watching the first show where I was like, oh shit, and picking up movies, and it was like, that just sent me down the black hole where I just was watching, and now I'm watching the new version of the show, and I'm watching every movie, I'm like, seen it. My wife was disappointed because she had not seen 4 of them, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, I have heard of every one of these and seen them, so I'm waiting and hoping for that one movie that hits me with like bam, and they're gonna hopefully one movie gets named that like I have put on the back burner that brings it to the front again, where I hear about it on this show and I go, okay, I need to watch that. But so far I have not. I'm not saying I disagree. I agree with the list, but I've seen everything on it, so nothing's new to me. Nothing has turned me on to any new suggestions.
There was a couple of people on there talking. I was surprised about. They had Jonah Ray on there, which I guess when you think about it, isn't that surprising because I watch a lot of B movies.
Yeah.
But I just didn't expect Mystery Science Theater 3000 to be on there.
I know. And I really like how they have credible people doing the interviews, like you had mentioned a few, like Mick Garris, Jennifer Reeder, like you said, Greg Nicotero, Joe Dante. I also like that they just don't list off scary movie moments like you said, like how you were wondering how it was going to be wrapped up in just 2 episodes. Like, it's not just like 99 or 101. 100, 99, 90, like that's not that. Like, they actually take a few minutes to discuss and analyze each film on the list and which moment they're choosing from it that's the scariest. And they mentioned some good ones, like my favorite Dracula movie, The Horror of Dracula. We both like It Swallows. I mean, It Follows. The Orphanage. Salem's
I almost
Lot.
said It Swallows, but
so far the show's off to a good start, man.
It Follows is a divisive. I think that's just as divisive as Babadook.
You just got to be willing to give it a chance. It's just new.
I don't get what people dislike about it.
I don't get why people don't like the Babadook either. I don't, because it's like, even though the monster's not real, like the mom was real and the mom was the monster. So it's like it's, I don't know. People, I don't know. Those were both. I remember like people argued about like that was the big ones. Babadook and It Follows, and it was all over. People saying they were good, people saying they sucked. I liked them both.
And the other person I was going to say that was I did not expect to be on there, Joe Truglia. I was going to say for the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He's on a lot.
Yeah, and the other thing is you were talking about how they talk about the movie. It's not just that. I would say maybe it's less they discuss the movie, but I feel like everybody talking sets up the scene that they're talking about.
Agreed.
So sometimes you just see the scene first or whatever, but they give a lot of background as to what's happened in the movie to that point. You know, the effect it had.
Right.
It's pretty well done.
Yeah, agreed. And
I mean, who the hell doesn't like countdown shows?
I know, especially even if it's like that's the thing. When you like horror, like we do, like
we
the
watch
people
it to be like, no, you're fucking wrong.
Well, no, I was gonna say even if it's just fun to watch because even if you disagree with it, or even better, if you do agree with it, you're just sitting there watching people talk about movies you love and moments you like in the movies. It's like even if there's nothing new, like for me that I'm being turned on to, it's still like I still want to hear people talk about It Follows. I still want to hear people talk about the horror of Dracula and hear like it being brought up. It's like it's comforting. It's kind of like a comfort watch. And I dig it.
You're getting to watch your favorite scenes. Like, even if you don't disagree in the order, there's going to be stuff you just get to keep seeing, like the scenes you love in movies, just those scenes. And it's just...
Yep. They'll even do, like, pauses.
I was thinking of South Park. We're going to need a montage. But I guess in this one, there is more discussion. It isn't just a montage.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like going back even further, the Boogeyman DVD, where it was just like... It was just kick-ass clips of Freddy, Jason, Michael, Chucky.
Oh my god, I have that. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. Where it was just like a compilation of like just kills.
Because I'd be like, I get to watch like all the cool scenes.
Seriously, that's something to get baked to, man. For real. I'm actually gonna probably whip that out later.
That should be a watch along. Us watching the Boogeyman.
Yeah, dude, for real. All right, well, look, man, take us into horror history, Johnny boy.
Horror hiss.
This week in horror history.
All right, you brought him up earlier, but the OG Pinhead, Doug Bradley, and our favorite dentist, Corbin Burnson, their birthdays are on September 7th, which, as a reminder, Shudder's 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time will be out on September 7th.
Cheers.
But so happy birthday to you, fellas.
Yep, cheers,
also on the 7th, the indie slasher by Adam Green, Hatchet, turned 16. I can't believe the fucking movie's 16 years old already.
Man, I remember hearing about this movie back in the day and watching like these little 2-minute behind the scenes things that they had on the Starz channel. I was hyped. Starz was like a parent company of the physical media company Anchor Bay. You know this.
Yeah, I used to watch Starz all the time.
Right.
Old school, like Verizon on demand, I'd watch shit on Starz all the time.
And, Anchor Bay were legendary. They put out a ton of fantastic releases on DVD,
sure.
But they no longer exist. Scream Factory kind of took over where Anchor Bay left off. But anyway, I remember staying home from work so that I could go to the mall and buy a copy of Hatchet. And I was hooked ever since. Adam Green really broke the mold here. He made a fake trailer for the film and got funding to make the movie off of the hype that the trailer got. I mean, back in the 80s, they'd do that where they'd have like a poster made as soon as there was a title, but the script wasn't made yet. Adam did that but he did it with a trailer, and a lot of people have tried it since and have been unsuccessful.
And not just Hatchet, but the whole rest of that series turned out fantastic.
I agree. And, actually, Adam Green said that if it all works out, there's 2 more Hatchet films in the making. And right funny. Now... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny. Each time he announces a new one, I just kind of go... do we need another one?
Yes.
I'm always apprehensive about the next one, and then it's fine.
Yeah, Victor Crowley was amazing, but he said right now he's in the middle of some projects that he can't talk about. And I was going to ask you, don't you hate that? That's going to come up later this episode too, but it's like everyone says that. Everyone always says that they're working on stuff that they can't talk about. And it's so frustrating because you want to know, but imagine how they feel having to keep that shit bottled up, and they'd love to talk about it if they could. Right?
And Herbert West himself, Jeffrey Combs, celebrates a birthday on the 9th. And The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I think we probably talked about this last year on our horror history, but it's 17 this year.
Yeah, now
that's another movie
old.
I can't believe that's 17 years old.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Now I feel fucking old hearing that. I was in high school when that shit came out, dude. Oh, man. You were in high school, too. We were both in the same fucking high school.
What year did it come out?
2005.
2005. I think I might have just been
out of school. Been out. Yeah, but I've said it before. We'll do an episode on Emily Rose. I love it. You love it. Our wives love it. It's my second favorite possession film of all time. Probably top 3 for sure. We've touched on it here and there on the show, and we could do a deep dive on it right now if we wanted to. We could just say fuck it.
Jennifer Carpenter come on the show. But Tom Wilkinson.
I'll save it for later. Linney. Scott Derrickson. Love this fucking movie, man.
Yeah. Anyway, on the 10th, Malevolent celebrates its 19th anniversary.
Fuck yeah, man.
We did a whole episode on the trilogy. We talked with the director, writer, creator, Stephen Mena. That was one of our early episodes.
And right away from the start, I remember he gave us one of our biggest compliments. He thanked us and said that we asked him a bunch of questions that he's never been asked before. And I remember thinking, we're off to a good start with this shit.
But so go listen to that. Also on the 10th, Stir of Echoes with the Bake Man, Kevin Bacon, Philly's own, celebrates its 23rd anniversary.
I've talked about this movie a lot on the show too. It's phenomenal. It's one of Kevin Bacon's best performances. This is based off of the short story A Stir of Echoes by Richard Matheson, who wrote I Am Legend and Hell House. If you haven't seen this one, you're missing out. There's a few really good scares in it that fucked me up when I saw it back in the day.
Yeah, his books are usually good, but some of the interpretations are not good. It's mostly the ones around I Am Legend.
Vincent Price, The Last Man on Earth, is still the best one. Prove me wrong. I want to make a meme of that, like Vincent Price sitting at the table. My version of I Am Legend is better than Will Smith's. Prove me wrong.
Maybe we can get a seance and talk to Vincent Price.
No alopecia ball. I don't mean any offense to Jada Pinkett Smith. Just legit, no alopecia CGI vampires.
Will Smith will walk up,
come right up in this podcast and smack the shit out of me. But no, I just don't like the whole bald CG vampires wearing rags. Didn't do it for me.
I liked it when I first saw it in theaters, but I had no idea it was based on a book or anything like that. When I saw it, and I was like, oh, now I get why people hate this movie. Anyway, I think that about wrap it up for the hiss.
For the
horror hiss. Now it's time to get into that PPA, Puff Puff Ask. Where you, the little people, write us in questions. No, you write us in questions through social media, High Horror 420, like everything. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Email.
Actually, I don't think, like I said, I don't think we've ever got one question from TikTok. You can email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com or through the website at highonhorror.com.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
Okay, this question comes from Lily from Georgetown, PA. I swear a few weeks ago somebody wrote in named Lily. This one was sent in about 2 weeks ago, and I'm just getting to it. Lily says, hey, Drew and John, what do you guys think of the current state of the box office? The Invitation led the worst weekend box office of the summer this year. It came in number 1 with just $7 million. Ugh. Do you think it's inevitable for theaters to become obsolete? And, okay, my answer is they already are obsolete. It feels like if you stick up for movie theaters, that people treat you like a snob or something. They think that streaming everything is the way to go and you don't have to pay like you do for, movies. But that's wrong because, you're paying for that monthly subscription to those streaming services that cost a lot more than movie tickets do.
Yeah, I don't care if people think they're obsolete or not. I just fucking love movie theaters, dude. Like, that is like one of my favorite places to be. It's just a fucking movie theater.
Same. It's good. I like to clear my head and just.
It's one of my favorite all-time jobs. Just fucking smoking weed out back, going to see movies. Finding of my old coworkers that
out back. You mean in the theater?
Oh well, yeah, we did. I guess what are they going to do? Come arrest me? And if anybody I used to work with, there was some people that were anti-weed. So if for some reason you actually listen to this, yeah, I was smoking weed at work. And the one dude who accused me, and I lied to his face. Oh, dude, I came in one time and he was like, I know I'm getting off topic, but real quick. I came in one time. What I used to do was I would smoke out back, and then I had two of the other people bomb me with their cigarette smoke, so I'd smell like cigarette smoke going back in. Well, this dude, he's like, did you just smoke weed out back? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, you smell like weed. I'm like, well, no, I didn't. What do you want me to tell you? Like, I said this, if you want me to say it, I will. He's like, maybe it's just your shirt then. He's like, "Do you smoke on the way here?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you need to be careful." No, I was high as shit. I just smoked out back, so he probably ain't listen to us anyway. If he does, what the fuck's it matter?
Yeah, he don't have that job anymore either, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think they'll become obsolete. Like, maybe they'll become fewer and far between. I mean, I got you to end up signing up for it, but we have our Cinemark.
Yeah, movie
passes.
thing. Yeah, our monthly passes.
Oh,
that thing pays off, man.
Movie Pass is coming back.
I saw that.
But it's only like you can see 5 movies a month, and there's different tiers because people like me abuse that program. I'm still interested. I want to see. Mark Wahlberg's working on a documentary about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that, but I just think we're still dealing with post-COVID stuff. So, and I mean, there's some points in time where it's just a bunch of shitty movies come out at the same time that nobody wants to see, and and the only good movies are movies that have been out for weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't even really heard of The Invitation too much.
Oh, really? It looks pretty good. I was gonna go see it, but I didn't have the time.
I haven't heard of it too much, saying that there wasn't like a whole lot of press behind it. I wasn't getting ads for it online all the time and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I mean,
so you're saying lack of advertisement could have led to that?
I mean, yeah, and I still feel like some studios are holding back. I mean, I feel like we're getting more quote back to normal, but I still feel like they're holding some stuff back. I mean, they're still pushing some movies back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think once it gets sorted out, I mean, but there's people like Nolan that, yeah, you can watch it at home. I still haven't watched it at home, but Dunkirk, like, I saw that in IMAX. I feel like there's absolutely no need for me to watch that, like, at home. Like, that movie was built for a theater.
But that's the thing, though. Everyone wants to push everything at home and wants to watch everything wants to push. Here, let me get my words together. Everyone wants to push to watch everything at home, and the studios are pushing for that, too. Hence, HBO Max giving out Matrix Resurrections, and Godzilla vs. Kong.
Deserve to be in a theater.
I don't think the theaters were closed like completely, but like you had said, I do think they're going to be fewer and far between, and maybe more for like big events, like the 17th Spider-Man movie's out, and there's going to be a special bucket of popcorn with Spider-Man's mask on it that you can buy, like that type of shit. And there will still be a need for theaters, but not as many of them. Regal Cinema, one of the biggest chains, is on the verge of bankruptcy, and they're like a leading brand. It's a sad day for those of us people out there who like going to the movies. It's not looking good.
I was going to compare it to the video stores.
Yeah,
where like it just ended up that there was just big retail chains like Blockbuster's really the only one, and like because I remember when I was very young, there was like video stores everywhere. Mm-hmm. I had one at the end of my neighborhood. I had Blockbuster down the street.
Blockbuster was one option of many, and instead it ended up becoming the only
West Coast Videos, where I remember getting our first videos, which is weird because it was
Hollywood
on the East Coast.
Video.
Hollywood Video is another one. And then I feel like that's what's going to happen is you're just going to see it shrink till it's like Regals, Cinemarks, maybe some AMCs, and you're going to see a lot of the smaller independent theaters just kind of go away.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll still probably have some of those independent theaters like the Alamo Draft House and things like that, but they're independent, but they have a huge ass following.
Right, and they put on like big events and stuff to justify like the
I could see it possibly going that way, and we just have less movie theaters around. But I feel like even when we were kids here in Delaware, there was like a lot more movie theaters.
I mean, and you brought up...
I can think there's like 4 or 5 different movie theaters I can think of.
Yeah.
And now it's really just down in our area to like 3 or 4, and 2 of them are owned by Cinemark.
Yeah. It's so like it's only like 2 brands of theater chains are around here, and but I was gonna say, you brought up a really good point with like the video stores. It's like streaming put fucking video stores out of business, and now it's like streaming's actually gonna fucking be like put theaters on the verge of being out of business. Like streaming really took over, man. It's crazy.
And then I'm like, what's gonna? Is there anything that can come along the top streaming? Like because I mean, like I used to be interested
I don't know.
because, like, the funny thing is to me is I remember being a kid, VHS, and then we moved over to DVD. So I remember when Blu-ray was talked about, and I was like, oh, I wonder what, like, is going to come after Blu-ray, and then it's kind of like really nothing. It's streaming. So, like, there's always something to come along and beat that, but, I mean, in fairness, you know, physical media for video was around for, what's good 60 years was being dominant.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was long-winded for our first one. Took some roads, detours. Kind of my fault on some of those. But we'll get into our second question. Mad Creep, I hope that's only your name on Instagram, wrote in and asked, what do you guys think about the new Terrifier trailer? Are you going to cover it when it comes out? I didn't even need to see the trailer, to be honest. Like, I'm already in. We are going to cover it, but like Drew said, now it's our turn to be the annoying ones. We can't really get into that. We don't know exactly when we're going to cover that. There's some scheduling things to get around, but
wink, wink.
You know,
when we do, it'll be worth it.
We'll definitely let you know when we do, but maybe not when it first comes out. We'll see. There's a lot of, as the dude said in Big Lebowski, a lot of ins, a lot of outs.
Maybe, yeah, and
but yes, the trailer's the trailer's amazing, but like I didn't even need the trailer to be in. And I will say that trailer has given us maybe the horror meme of the year of art in those flower sunglasses. Yes. I am seeing all kinds of shit with that, and they're all so good.
The trailer looks great, man. I was actually excited watching it. Like, actually watching it, I was excited. I was smiling ear to ear. And hearing the reviews, because it aired at the Aero Film Festival, and after hearing, like, literally everyone was like, even the negative reviews, okay? The people who did and didn't like it, everybody was saying that the film's extreme and goes too far. And that just gave me a chub. I can't wait. You know, like I can tell you that the trailer strays away from showing you too much, but you see enough to know that it's going to be a fucked up movie, and that's what us Terrifier fans want. So, fuck yeah, we're gonna cover it. And like John said, you know, wink, wink, it'll be worth it. It might not be right away. You might have to wait a little bit, but you know, it'll be worth waiting for. That's the best I could say.
And if you want to know what to expect, you can go back to our early episodes of when we first got started. Our episode with David
Howard Thornton,
Fuzz on the Lens, and I think Craig is like 5 or 6.
Yeah, we had 3 episodes covering Terrifier.
Not all of them heavily talk about Terrifier, but all those guests had Terrifier questions asked to.
And you're going to learn a lot from them about Terrifier. I mean, even there's some things from our Craig interview about Terrifier too, where he said that the taint sawing scene is like outdone in the new Terrifier film by like times 1,000 or something. He said it's like absolutely. He said that the taint sawing scene is like child's play.
And speaking of that, if you want to know if David Howard Thornton is in fact the first person to saw through a taint in a movie, that is a question we did ask him.
I think that's enough for now. No. Well, yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah, we're going to cut it off here. Let's talk about Willy's Wonderland now. Let's get out of here. I can't stand to hear a grown man scream. Best line in the film. Normally, this is where I give you listeners a background on the film we're discussing with some in-depth facts and quotes, but I'm not going to do that this time because it'd be completely repetitive to the things that you'll hear in our interview with Gio Parsons in just a few minutes. We cover everything in this interview, and anything that I could say is there. But what I will say is that the janitor is a man of few words. He just gives you odd looks. You've seen Nick Cage do a lot of things, but have you ever seen him beating a mechanical gorilla with a plunger in a bathroom with a duct tape Nelly Band-Aid on his cheek? Hell no. That's what you get when you watch Willy's Wonderland. Shit. To sum it up, director Kevin Lewis said that Willy's Wonderland is Pale Rider versus Killer Clowns from Outer Space. John, walk us through it.
Willy's Wonderland is a 2021 American action comedy horror film directed by Kevin Lewis, from a screenplay from our guest today, Gio Parsons. We start on an old remote country road. Nicolas Cage, who's credited as the janitor, has his car run over a spike trap and he gets a flat. He ends up stranded outside of Hayesville, Nevada. Mechanic Jed Love, played by Chris I lost his name. Chris Warner picks him up and tows his car into town. But the janitor's unable to pay for the repairs because Jed doesn't take cars, only cash. Funny thing I just thought about. Beth Grant, who's in this film, we'll talk about her character shortly. But this is another movie she's in where a business owner refuses to take a card. Remember in Child's Play 2? You had Mattson, played by Craig German, tried to buy the vodka in the liquor store clerk, played by Herbie Braha, wouldn't take the gold card.
Chucky's chilling in his back seat.
He's like, this is a gold card. It's as good as cash. Not here, it isn't.
Well, real quick, before you move on, though, I did want to say, because it is brief, but the opening kill, before we see the janitor driving, the opening kill, I swear to Christ that the dude that you see like running from the animals in the opening kill was Jorge Masvidal. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember the guy? He had like the beard and the long hair with the pony, like the little man bun. I was like, Jorge Masvidal about the 5-second flying knee of fucking Chuck E. Cheese animal?
Damn.
But
where you at, Ben Askren? Wasn't it like 8 seconds though?
I don't know. It was 5 or 8 seconds or something.
It's the quickest KO. He beat
anyway, got our UFC talk out for the set for the.
He beat Dwayne Ludwig or whatever his name was record. Anyway, getting back to the film here. Owner Tex McAdoo, played by Rick Wrights, offers to allow him to work as a night shift janitor at Willy's Wonderland, which was a once successful family entertainment center, but now it's abandoned. It's like a dilapidated Chuck E. Cheese, basically. So they'll do that in exchange for repairing his vehicle. Like, we've talked about price gouging in this country, but they wanted $1,000, not even including the tow. I forget what the tow price was, but that was a couple hundred for like a couple miles. Mm-hmm. So, and they want $1,000 besides the tow just to fix this dude's flat. Like, what did these tire strips do? You're just taking the tire off and putting a new one on. Right. Like, how is that $1,000?
Give me a motherfucking used tire if that's what you're trying to hit me with. $1,000. What?
Anyway, so Tex and Jed leave him locked in the building, and that's where we get the line you shared with us, Drew. And yeah, that's definitely the best line in the film. Meanwhile, teenager Liv Hawthorne, played by Emily Tosta, gets handcuffed after trying to burn down she tries to burn down Willy's Wonderland, but she gets handcuffed by her guardian. Did I say our guardian?
No, her guardian.
Okay.
You were right.
I thought I said ours. I was like, that's not right. She's not our guardian. I don't need a goddamn guardian. Anyway, she tries to burn down Willy's, and she gets handcuffed by her guardian, Hayesville Sheriff Elise Lunn, played by Beth Grant. When Lunn leaves, Liv's friends Chris Mully, Kathy Barnes, Aaron Powers, Bob McDaniels, and Dad Lorraine, played by Kai Cadlick, Kaylee Cowan, Christian Del Grosso, Tara Lil Hill, I've said that one wrong, I know, and Jonathan Mercedes, respectively, come and release her. And I'll just fucking move my notes everywhere. Give me a second here. I fucked that up. As the janitor begins his duties, the restaurant's worn down and old animatronic mascots come to life. And we have Willy Weasel, who is performed by Yuri Stanek and voiced by Amoy. Artie Alligator, performed by Christopher Bradley. Cammy Chameleon, performed by Taylor Towery and voiced by Mattson Lee. And we had your favorite, Ozzy Ostrich, performed by B.J. Geyer and voiced by Abel Arias. And Tito Turtle, played by Chris Schmidt Jr. and voiced by, again, Abel Arias. And Nighty Night. That was a good one.
Yeah, I like that one.
I like the name. He's performed by Duke Jackson. We have the plunger Victim-E, Gus Gorilla.
Victim-E.
He performed by Bill Bussey and voiced by Mark Gagliardi. There we go. And lastly, we have Siren Sarah, who is performed and voiced both by Jessica Graves. And up first, we have Ozzy attack the janitor. He said he was going to peck his face off.
I'm going to feast on your face.
Yeah. And instead, the janitor beats the dog shit out of Ozzy with a mop. The janitor was like okay with him and just like going to leave him alone till he started to bleed, and then he had to get that Nelly duct tape. Then after that, he just snapped that fucking broom and beat the shit out of him. Yeah, the shots pissed. Where he was hitting him in the neck had
that
me
one
die.
little cheek scratch. That one little cheek scratch did it for him.
So while that's happening, Liv and her friends douse the perimeter with gasoline, and Liz decides to enter Willy's Wonderland through the vents to get the janitor out. And meanwhile, the janitor's attacked again, this time by Gus in the restroom, the gorilla. And he takes care of him by curb stomping him on a urinal. We'll
talk about that.
Yeah, that might be my favorite film, I think. Or favorite film. My favorite film. My favorite kill in the film.
Yeah, it's a good one. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Actually, I don't think my favorite kill's happened yet. I'll tell you when you get through it in the plot.
And in the vents, Liv is chased by Artie Alligator, but she escapes into a fairy-themed room where Sarah attacks her. And Liv manages to fend off Sarah, and she encounters the janitor, who ignores her warnings about the animatronics and refuses to leave. I will say, the janitor will take his breaks when that watch goes off, and you're not going to stop him.
Not only that, but he goes right back to work after killing Ozzy the ostrich. Like it's like he doesn't even question, like, how the fuck did this dude just attack me and why did I have to kill it? He just does it and then just goes right back to killing. Like, oh, I gotta
make sure that place is clean.
Yeah, and another thing, man, that's a lot to clean overnight. Like, even if they were offering them to fix my tire,
there's 5 people in there, man. Like, that's a lot.
Look, if they said I'll fix your tire, it's gonna be $1,000 and plus, and but we'll take care of it if you clean. I would have walked in and be like, nah, I'm not gonna get this done in one night by myself. Like, that's too much cleaning. But this dude's just, the janitor's, I don't know, he's cool, man. He just doesn't give a fuck.
And I was talking to our friend Kenny about the movie. I had him watch it recently. And he said the other thing he liked is that the animatronics respected the 15-minute break.
That's a very good point.
Like when he went in to play pinball, nobody ever attacked him in there.
I never thought about that. That's a very good point. He was respected during his breaks. That's hilarious. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that till he brought it up, because I said I like how he just walks away, and Kenny was like, yeah, he's like, and I like the fact that the animatronics respected the 15-minute break.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's true. The man got to play pinball for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and crush out energy drinks. So getting back to Liv's friends here, they've climbed to the top of the roof, which collapses, causing them to fall into the building. So now everyone's stuck with the killer animatronics. While the janitor cleans the kitchen, Liv explains that Willy's Wonderland was originally owned by notorious serial killer, and they always got to have 3 names, Jerry Robert Willis. He got 3 first names? And his 7 psychotic, cannibalistic partners who often murdered unsuspecting families by luring them in the super happy fun room. And they straight up, they definitely murder a kid.
Oh, yeah, they do. Absolutely.
Eventually discovered by the authorities, they commit a satanic ritual to transfer their souls into the animatronics before committing suicide.
They Chucky themselves.
Yes. Another movie that Beth Grant is in that features body transferring rituals.
Child's Play 2, you're right.
I told you I had some facts to drop about Beth Grant in this episode to you.
And she's in our favorite scene.
Yeah.
The tire pump. Yeah, the tire pump.
Very naughty, Miss Kettlewell. And that air pump scene forever. I hope that's legendary. In the 101 Scariest Monster.
Yeah, that would be good.
Anyway, so yeah, Beth Grant, another body soul ritual, a Day Dembella. Imagine if that's how they got in there. It was just a Dembella. When she finishes telling it, a few of the animatronics awaken and attack the group. That was the one where it was like 6 little piggies or something like that. Yeah, and then it was like, all of a sudden it drops it to 5, and then Nighty fucking Night impales Aaron with his sword. So he goes night-night. Sarah and Tito devour Dan alive. Artie mauls Kathy and Bob to death while they're having sex.
I love that, yeah. I like Artie.
This would normally be where I'd say probably, actually even a little before this, that we should stop for spoilers, but I just want to throw out that, like, our interview gets into spoilers too, so...
And the movie's been out for over a year. So
we're just going to keep trucking through this.
If you haven't seen it, get on it.
Yeah. Leave here. This will be your only warning. Well, too late.
This will be your only warning.
This is your only warning, folks. Just fucking deal with it. Anyway, we go back to Liv, who's just standing in awe. The janitor decapitates Nighty. He breaks Artie's jaw. Like, he just ripped it backwards. That was another good one.
Yeah, King Kong, man.
Yeah. Surprised you didn't find a way to work Godzilla in there, too.
Maybe I just might still. You never know.
Either way, he kills both Nighty and Artie. He just straight up ripped Artie's mouth backwards. Just grabbed his mouth and just separated it. Stalked by Cammy in the arcade, Chris calls Lund for help. She goes there with the deputy sheriff, Evan Olson, who's just like, he's getting paid double overtime to just be sitting in the sheriff's office to make sure this phone don't ring. The best part is Beth Grant, her character's like, we're just going to sit here and pray this phone don't ring. She answers one time, so you know shit's like serious for what she just told the guy, and literally just hangs up on the kid and hope he doesn't call back again.
Yeah.
Then she said, oh shit, we got to go to Willy's. That's another good quote.
She's good at playing a heartless bitch, man. Yeah. I gotta say, she really is. And I mean that with all due respect, because she seems like a nice person in real life. Microchip.
So she goes there with the deputy sheriff. On the way, Lund reveals to Evan that after Willy's Wonderland was shut down, the animatronics continued to murder people around Hayesville until her, Text, and Jed all made a deal with them.
You said text.
Tex-Mex. Over the years, they trick random travelers into cleaning up the building, offering them as sacrifices to the animatronics to stop their killing spree. They also would try to choose people they thought would not be missed, which is double fucked up. But a young Liv and her parents were among the victims, with Liv being the only survivor, and her guilty ass adopted her. Like, that's fucked up. Like, she basically is the reason her family's dead and then adopted her.
Yeah. Yeah, fucked up.
The janitor and Liv arrive at the arcade. Cammy snaps Chris's neck, killing him. They subdue Cammy and attempt to leave before Lund and Evan stop them. Lund handcuffs the janitor and leaves him to die as Evan takes Liv away. While driving, Evan is attacked and killed by Tito as Liz injures Tito and escapes. Back at the restaurant, the janitor subdues Sarah and twists Cammy's head, killing her. Enraged, Lund tries to lure Willy to kill the janitor. She pleads with him too. Willy, this asshole doesn't speak for us.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Then Willy just decides to tear her straight in half.
Doesn't give a shit. Willy's a OG.
Willy and OG.
I just feel like he just wanted a reason to fuck her up after all these years. That's what it felt like.
And then Willy and the janitor fight each other until the janitor just rips his head off.
The fight that we were all waiting for finally happens at climax. That's what we wanted. We wanted Willy and the janitor.
And then the next morning, Text and Jed return to the building and find it completely clean with the animatronics missing. The janitor received his repaired vehicle. He invites Liv to accompany him, and while Tex and Jed discuss planning to reopen Willy's Wonderland, Sarah suddenly appears and sets their car on fire with gasoline. I guess she basically, like, in a way, suicide bombed the car.
Yeah, because she died too.
Yeah, all three of them are killed because it just explodes. She Molotov cocktailed his gas tank, basically.
Yeah. Again, here we go, another Chucky reference. That's kind of what Chucky did in Bride of Chucky to the cop car.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Beth Grant wasn't in that one, though.
No, but still Chucky, another Chucky reference.
Yeah, as the sun rises, the janitor and Liv drive out of Hayesville, running into and killing Tito as he's just, like, walking in the highway. And you can see the explosion through his, like, sunglasses.
Yep, the reflection.
So, that'll about wrap that story up for us for now. Because there is prequel comics coming out that we're going to talk about. Maybe a sequel somewhere down the road. But I've also debated, do I want Nick Cage back in the sequel?
I thought about that too. Like,
do I want a different story?
Is it forced to have him back? It might just be better to have a whole different story.
But I think
like maybe make Willy's Wonderland another chain. Like I think like they could do Willy's Wonderland, like make it like it's a chain like Chuck E. Cheese. Somebody saw what happened in like the most recent incident or whatever due to like Tex dying. So maybe somebody reenacts it and decides to like kill themselves and to give like they could kill themselves and put themselves in these animals at another Willy's Wonderland and kind of do it over as like, kind of like, I guess it seems repetitive, but that, I mean, it could work. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would, like I said, I think I'd be okay either way. I feel like if they brought Nick back, I'd be like, awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I should have brought this up another point. The character, the janitor, granted it's not exactly the same, reminds me a lot of Clint Eastwood's character from the Dollars trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
But he does talk in those, but it's very few and far between.
And he always got the stank face.
He always got that stank face and just chomping a cigar.
But in this case, it's a soda / energy drink.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was well done by Nick Cage, like to literally not talk. Like, spoiler alert, he doesn't ever say a word in the entire film.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you think about how can that work, but it's like those little things when he gets picked up by what's his name? I can't think of the tow truck.
Shit, you said his name earlier.
Yeah, I said it. And
oh man, you're gonna do that to me. I'm terrible with names.
Rick.
How do we both? Yep. How do we both come up with that? Rick.
Yeah, with Rick, like, I don't even know where the fuck I was going. I was so worried about his name. But what I was saying was like the little things of him not talking is like he asked him a question, and Nick Cage, the janitor, doesn't answer in like 2 seconds, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're one of the," and it's just like he continued like. There's never a time where it's awkward necessarily because he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like
the people around him just kind of flow with it.
I mean, there are times where like he's asked stuff and just ignores them, but they just think that he's ignoring them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he literally doesn't talk, and I feel like that's just like if you told me it was a movie about a guy who beats up animatronics, and it's the good guy who doesn't talk throughout the entire film, I'd be like, that sounds boring.
But it's not.
But yeah, and everything with those animatronics were great. Like we all have our favorite animatronic, but like they all look good.
Yeah, agreed. And they have that they have that perfect look of looking childish, but having like a kind of like a scary twist to them, like a goofy scary twist kind of.
Yeah, like you liked Ozzy was your favorite.
Ozzy the ostrich.
He would be high on my list. I liked Artie Alligator, but I think it's just because I like alligators.
I mean, I love alligators.
And also I like Tito the Turtle because I like the whole, like, he had that sombrero on. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
Like, who the fuck decided that, like, let's name the turtle Tito and put a fucking sombrero on him? Just like, a lot of the animatronics, you're just like, why?
Like this animal, this turtle here, he's going to be the Mexican one of the group.
Yeah.
That's basically
and
what
then,
it was.
Like, Artie Alligator has on, like, a French beret.
You're
like,
right. Yeah,
it's all, like, ridiculous, but it works.
It does work. They look cute. Like I said, I could see the child appeal to them, how it would appeal to children.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Also, I think because the children get sucked in by the aesthetics of like Five Nights at Freddy.
Yeah, the music and shit too that they play. Well, you know.
Well, that was like you were playing it for Abel, and
he loves it.
He was into like he was into the music.
Yeah, you know, you got me into this movie.
Yeah,
and
I kept trying to get you to watch it for the longest time too.
Well, what would you rate it? What's your rating?
I feel like I'm biased just because I enjoy. Like I made a joke off air with you that I said that this was like my Psycho Gorman. This is just like my movie that like when I need to do something, but I just want some noise in the background. Like that's what I put on because you could just jump into the movie at any time.
Right.
I'd probably give it an 8.2.
Okay, nice. See, like, you know, you got me into this movie, and the thing is, I don't ride the hype train of Nick Cage the way that a lot of people do. I'll be upfront about that.
I like some Nick Cage stuff. I don't like some Nick Cage stuff.
I wasn't a fan of Mandy, so I was apprehensive about watching Willy's Wonderland, you know, because so many people talked that up. So when here's another Nick Cage film that's being talked up, and I was really just like, man, I don't know, you know, but upon my first viewing, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I was surprised by how fun it was, and I liked it. However, in the passing days, I couldn't get it out of my head. The music, the violence, the ridiculousness, everything. As I sit here now, I can honestly say that I've watched it 5 times in the past week. I went back 4 more times. My kids even like it, like you mentioned. My 1-year-old, my 2-year-old actually had his hands above his head and was dancing at one point to the music. It's a fun movie that gets straight to the point. It isn't overambitious with its ideology and budget. It's a tight little story packed into a quick but not too quick of a pace. The janitor is awesome. I hope we get another movie. Like I said, it's absolutely fucking batshit ridiculous, but I love it. I really hope the sequel happens. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
And I have to say, I didn't choose to watch this. Nicole was the one who put it on one night.
Right. This was one that you were turned on to. Someone turned you on to it, and then you turned me on to it. It kind of was like a chain effect.
And it's kind of funny because I feel like that's pretty much how this movie's spread.
Yeah.
It's been one of those cult movies that just, oh, well, I saw this, and then just gets passed along. But yeah, it's one of those movies. It's almost like you have those movies you watch and you go, oh, I like that. And you just think, okay, it was just a movie I like. And then you just keep thinking about the movie. And you're like, damn, I want to watch it again. And you're like, damn it. And you watch it again. You're like, wow, I guess I like this movie way more than what I thought I liked it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because then, like, I rewatched it and I'm like, okay, I kind of want to watch it again.
I can see that for sure.
And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like, what, 85 minutes, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just like a tight hour and a half. Like I said, just barely.
Yeah, like I told you, I feel like sometimes when you watch a movie for the first time, it feels longer because I feel like you're trying to process everything.
Yeah.
Like when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, wow, we're almost done. Like it felt longer for some reason the first time. But now it's just like, yeah, like it gets right to the action. I mean, it makes it sound horrible when I say it this way. There's not too much story. Like, there's a good story to it, but it's
just straight to the point. Yeah,
straight to the point. We don't need hundreds of backstories. We get the backstory on the animatronics. We don't need to know shit about the janitor.
Right.
We find out that, Liv wants to burn it down because her family was murdered there, and she lives with the sheriff now. Like, that's all you need to know. And then,
yeah.
And then it's just
enjoy the ride.
And the fun thing is usually I feel like you have these movies. In a way, it kind of felt like one of the old martial arts movies, like Game of Death, where he's just moving from one character to the next. And Bruce Lee got fucked up in like all those fights. Nah, not Nick Cage. He's just out here beating the shit out of every animatronic. Right. Not even a challenge. Like I think as Gio was saying in our interview, like, they just picked the wrong dude. Like,
yeah. This dude was just too fucking bad and cool.
Yeah, like, he was never once in serious jeopardy. Like, even like Willy, just,
yeah.
It's the fight we wanted to see, and then he just beat the fuck out of Willy. But, and then Sarah Siren took care of herself.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why she wanted to try to live, but.
Yeah, me neither.
Fucking Satanist, man. You can figure him out. To quote our boy Joshua Michael, fucking hail Satan, bruh. I think we've done enough talking about the movie here. So, well, not enough.
Not enough. But we've done enough talking about it.
We've done enough.
Me and you and I.
We got some facts for you. And then we'll get to the interview.
Oh.
Burn and learn.
All right, now let's get into Burn and Learn, the segment of our show where we fill you in on some behind-the-scenes facts about the film that we're discussing. In this case, it's Willy's Wonderland. Pow, right in the kisser. A fistful of caffeine for your kisser is the tagline of the soda punch that the janitor drinks. You can see it on the can if you look close enough.
And I've discussed this with you, that if they ever do make this drink, I feel like it should be grape flavored. I don't know why, but I need a grape energy drink. Moving on here. Nicolas Cage improvised that arcade dance scene, and it looks like there was heavy choreography in that.
The script was high up on what is called the Blood List, apparently. The Blood List is the list of like scripts for genre films, I guess horror and sci-fi and stuff like that studios want to make. I wasn't aware of there being like a name of the list of horror films.
I did not either.
Blood List, apparently.
Look at me, I learned something too.
Yeah, we're learning our own shit on Burn and Learn.
I done learned something. The 20-minute short film Gina the Crocodile from 1969 was the inspiration for Artie the Alligator's look.
It looks just like it, too. Like, that makes total sense.
Beret wearing bitch.
Although the janitor's real name is never revealed, I thought this was really interesting. You can see military ID plates hanging from the rearview mirror of his car within the first few minutes of the film. The plates are a nod to Nick Cage's character Cameron Poe from Con Air, who was a U.S. Army Ranger, so that's why he was such a badass, and that's why Willy and his crew fucked up.
Cage movie.
Willy and his crew fucked up.
According to the props department, the character Kathy, played by Kaylee Cowan, chewed over 81 pieces of pink chewing gum throughout the course of her filming.
That's a weird, like, who counted?
I mean, I feel like her jaw be hurting.
I got that lockjaw.
Yeah. She was fucking chomping on it too. Like,
seriously. Grant Kramer is a producer of this film, and he also played Mike Tobacco in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Mike Tobacco is still one of the best names.
I agree.
What the fuck? Like, it was like, fuck it, make the last name Tobacco.
Look, I'm just going to say Mike Tobacco sounds like a dude that gets laid.
But
that's my boy Mike Tobacco years ago. He's got girls. I don't know.
He'd be laying pipe.
Mike Tobacco is like a real man's name, though.
All right, I think that's probably enough of Mike Tobacco. Mike Tobacco in that movie was not a man's man, if I remember correctly.
No, but it's a man's name.
Anyway, you're not here to listen to us talk about Mike Tobacco, so I think it's time to get into our interview. The whole reason you're here with Geo Parsons. Today's guest is an actor, writer, cinematographer. He is the writer of 2021 action horror film Willy's Wonderland, and he's also written the limited run of Willy's Wonderland comics. Thank you, Geo Parsons, for being high on horror.
Oh, well, thank you, John and Drew. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. And before we get started and into the good stuff, again, thank you for taking the time. But we wanted to start by asking, do you indulge in cannabis? Do you smoke?
Not as much as the rest of my family members. How
often would you say you smoked?
Yeah, it's not it's maybe once a year or something like that. It's not really something that I partake in. Not to the good degree of, again, I'm going to use the term other family members, since this is a public forum, that are like twice to 3 to 5 times a day.
That sounds like us a little bit.
There you go.
And what got you into the horror genre?
Yeah, I always liked those movies the most. So, like, if I was sitting around with my cousins, we'd always be watching a good horror movie. They're kind of my jam. There's just something I like about them, and I really like the more cheesier B-movie ones that were on, like the movie channel or the digital channels when I was growing up. Well, when I was growing up, they had video stores. Those are the ones that really stuck with me the most, and the ones that I liked the most, or those ones that were at the back end of the blockbuster that nobody could find or nobody else knew about. Right.
Well, so before we get started into talking about Willy's Wonderland, let's talk about the comic book that John just mentioned. Tell us about it. It had a Kickstarter. It went way over its reach. Congratulations on that. I know that the artist, Buzz Hassan, he does amazing work. He actually worked with the guy who created our logo, Blair Webb. They had a thing together. They were working together before they went their own ways. What can you tell us about the comic?
Right. Well, it's a prequel to the movie, and the comic kind of follows the backstories of the serial killers, the 8 animatronics prior to them becoming animatronics. So there are 8 serial killers. And so in the 4 stories, or the 4 comic books so far, it kind of tells the backstory of those serial killers. You see how and why and who they are. Really fun. And yeah, Buzz did some fantastic covers, and actually on the Willy's Wonderland 1, 2, 3, 4 covers that he made, if you put them together side by side, it creates this like amazing artistic collage of the 4 covers up next to each other. So yeah, fantastic artwork. And then the 2 main artists, or the 2 main writers on that were Scott and Jim, and of American Mythology, and they just took the world and like kind of ran with it. Really did some fantastic work as far as developing the backstory that wasn't there. Really good stuff. So if you're a fan of Willy's Wonderland and you haven't picked up the comic book, for sure, you can find it online. If you visit American Mythology, you can find it there. Fun comic, fantastic artwork, like you were saying. It's really worth checking out.
Yeah, we definitely plan to check it out, and I was going to ask you, how many issues is it going to be? Do you guys have a plan of, like, a set goal of how many issues? Is it going to keep going as long as people buy it, or?
Yeah, the first, like you said, the first 4 did really well. So initially it was going to just be that 4 comic book run and then see how it goes. But they've done very well. So what we're going to try and do is another 4 comic book run. Just different adventures with the animatronics, different adventures within the world of Willy's Wonderland. And we're figuring that out right now. But I know that we're working on some covers and some new stories. So I would look for that probably early 2023.
Oh, excellent. That's good news. Before writing, before writing feature-length screenplays, you were doing plays. I saw an interview with you where you were talking about your background in doing plays, and I've never seen any of them, unfortunately, but I saw that you said you like to shock the audience, and after Willy's Wonderland, do you have any plays or anything that you've written that you would like to see turn into a full-length film?
Yeah, well, no, there was one I did, my original idea for a film before I did Willy's Wonderland was this one called You're At Here, where this guy gets a chip in his brain, just becomes a human, like, commercial, and then it just drives him to madness. He goes nuts and ends up, like, losing everybody around him because he's just driven so mad by this corporate chip that's in his brain. So that one was fun. But yeah, with like the shock the audience thing, it's like when the majority of plays that I went to and took in were always very boring. And if you're like a horror movie fan or somebody that's into those kind of movies, then yeah, I think naturally you're going to find like a play on stage fairly boring. And I didn't want to do something like that. I always wanted it to be like a show. I always wanted there to be something that you would remember. So whenever we did a play like that, we tried to hide fun stuff in. So like one time we did this play where we pretended like this big Hollywood producer was going to show up. I live in Los Angeles, so if you're putting up the play, it's trying to get noticed. We did this thing where like, yeah, this big Hollywood producer's coming, and we told everybody in the audience like, oh, we have to hold the show because this important person's coming. And the important person was just a mark, it was just my friend that I had like told to play this role. And I had him come in like 5-10 minutes late, so everybody noticed him. And I had one of my friends go up and give him a bunch of like headshots of the actors in the play. And, it was just something that if you were in the audience, you noticed this person. And so halfway through the play, it's kind of done this way where I forget my lines, and he's in the audience. He's like, "You suck," and like everybody's like kind of taken aback by that. And then I start telling him he sucks. We start getting into it verbally on stage. No one knows what's going on. And then we had choreographed where we physically fought each other. But when I went after this guy, all my friends in the audience went after him too and just started beating his ass. And it turned into this huge fight. Like where like the whole I still remember my friend Chris just like slamming the back of this guy's head as hard as he could, but I couldn't break the character because we're in the middle of the show. He gets my friend who was playing the producer, he gets dragged out of there, and as he's getting dragged out, everybody sort of realizes that like, oh my god, it was actually part of the show, and it kind of took me by surprise. So those are the kind of things that I always wanted to do, like in a live audience, is like you're still witnessing the show, but you're going to experience something that you didn't think that you were. Like you're going to get scared, or you're going to get that adrenaline pumping, which is something that I tried to do in this, in the Willy's movie. But just those are lessons that I learned from doing the plays. Is like you got to figure out a way to like shock the audience, without them knowing about it.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. And you're a huge fan of horror movies and B films, as I heard you say in an interview. Would you say that? What else would you say would be an inspiration for Willy's Wonderland? Like any of those movies? And because to me, I saw it as kind of like, I know like Mad Max Fury Road probably wasn't an inspiration, but to me it was like Evil Dead and Mad Max Fury Road inside of like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one. I think that in every single horror movie that like. And you guys have probably seen millions more than I have. But, in all the ones that we've seen, the formula is always the same. It's like villain shows up, villain stalks innocent kids usually or people. Villain kind of has his or her way with them throughout the whole entire thing. And then in the final 10 minutes, the hero or the final girl figures out some way that he's allergic to sunlight and is able to beat him somehow, at least for enough. And I always wanted a movie where it was like, well, what if there were like a really bad dude and he just like met like the wrong person and got his ass kicked. And so that's kind of so I took all those inspirations that you're talking about, like all and the one that I used was like Jack Frost a lot. It was like this movie I remember watching in high school. It was like a killer.
I love Jack Frost.
Serial killer becomes a snowman, and it's just like, so that's kind of the way I wanted to do it. And I thought, like, you know, if it's a movie and you're going to have this guy beating the hell out of the villain, well, you're going to need a lot of them, because you can't just, you know, if he just mops the floor with one person, it's a short movie. So you got to have at least a few of them. And there's something funny about just beating up like a Jack Frost snowman. There's something funny about seeing a mascot. Like if you're ever at a sporting game or something, you see the mascot get its ass kicked by an angry dad or something. Like that's kind of the vibe that I wanted to go for. So like when you were watching it, even though it's violent and this guy's getting kicked into a urinal, it's still funny. So that was kind of the inspiration there. Another story real quickly is like my friend who used to play football in college, and he was like 6'5", 305 pounds. He's driving along. Some guy cuts him off and flips him off, and then like motions, hey, like pull over, you know? And my friend's like, yeah, all right, pulls over. So the guy gets out of the car, and my friend gets out of the car, who's probably like roided up on steroids at this point, completely out of his mind. And here he is, just 300 pounds, 6'5", sees the guy, and he tells me the guy looks at him, just starts running back to his car, gets in his car. My friend, the 6'5" guy, just chases after the car on foot. And I was like, that was another inspiration. It was just like, I love the idea of someone picking a fight with someone that they have no idea like is going to just absolutely steamroll them.
And Willy's Wonderland gets a lot of comparisons to Five Nights at Freddy's. Are you a fan of the game series? How do you feel about those comparisons? Because I feel like every time Willy's Wonderland comes up, it's always Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually never played those games. I'm obviously like, aware of them, but as far as a comparison, yeah, absolutely, you're going to compare it to those because they're just evil animatronics. But I never use that as a gauge. I think that in those things, it's like you're supposed to be scared of them. They're the real, like in ours, it was always more the janitor just showing up and just beating the hell out of them. And so I didn't want to try and ride their coattails in any way, shape, or form. You know, I just try to stay in our lane, stay in your lane. And I think about that with like, there's a million different movies, Freddy Krueger and Jason and Mike Myers. I mean, they're just kind of copycats of the same thing over and over and over again. And really, my whole idea was like, let's steer clear of any of that stuff and just focus on the janitor and how much of a badass he is. And this is the villain that he's taken on this in Willy's Wonderland. But if it wasn't them, it would be like Jason or Mike Myers, or, you know, you'd love to see a series where the janitor could take on villains of that kind of capacity.
Yeah, I totally, I never really saw I mean, I see it now that it's been said, but Five Nights at Freddy's never really crossed my mind. To me, I thought, man, the guy that wrote this was probably fucking traumatized of Chuck E. Cheese as a kid.
I went to this place called Boomtown, and I grew up on the other side of the border from Nevada. And whenever you went to Nevada, there was a casino at Boomtown, and they had those kind of low rent animatronic, not monster, I call them monsters, but animatronic characters that played and gave you pizza. They also had these thrill rides. I don't have these anymore, where you got into a little chair and there's a screen and it bumped you everywhere. I'm sure like broke a bunch of kids' spines and stuff. The motion theater experiences. But these weren't like the ones that are at the mall today. These were like dangerous.
Well, you originally wrote the script without any dialogue, correct? Like that was on purpose, and you also were supposed to direct the film?
Well, yeah, for the janitor. So when I was doing those plays, and then somebody's like, "Man, you got to quit doing the plays. You got to move on to doing a movie." But I mean, I didn't have any money or the capacity to do like a sort of a feature film, but I did have the ability to just write the thing. So I wrote it with the intention that I was going to get a, like iPhone camera or whatever, and then just shoot it myself and direct it myself and do all the animatronics just in suits I could buy, mascot suits I could buy from Amazon or whatever, just to try and do something different, try and expand it out. And I had a friend who was a casting director who, for anyone that doesn't know, a casting director is like the person that secures the talent for the movies. They're the person that, if you have a script, they're gonna have a relationship with the movie star, or the movie star's agent, to be able to get them to get their attention, basically. And my friend had read the script and really liked it, and she said, if you can get it to Nicolas Cage, that might be something that he responds to. And I was like, well, I can't do that, but can you? So she did me a favor, really big favor. And she called up his manager and said, hey, you should read the script. And to his credit, he did, and gave it to Nick. And Nick was like, yeah, I'm in, So it kind of worked out. It was a lot of, I don't want to say it was easy, because we're missing out on the years and years and years and years of like hard work and rejection. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of how it kind of came in. It was like, wrote it, gave it to her, he gave it to him, and he wanted to do it, and it was able to be made because he was so into it. If you have Nicolas Cage that wants to do a project, it's going to find its way to the screen the majority of the time, as I've learned. But then once things became real, as far as the movie goes, and as far as the budgets in the millions of dollars, you need to bring in somebody that has experience, that can have a crew and be somebody that, like, whoever the lender is, who's funding the movie, and all the people that are involved in the insurance and all that kind of stuff, they need somebody that they can count on. And that's where Kevin came in. Kevin Lewis, who directed the film, he's the person that had the experience, and he's also the person that understood what Willy's Wonderland was as much as I did. And just because there's a lot of people that read that script that were like, what? But Kevin got it immediately, sure. Knew right away, like, how it's supposed to go, what's supposed to be done. And again, he had the experience, the know-how, the hard work, and the work ethic to be able to say, okay, just I'll take it from here and let me handle it, which it worked out great for the both of us.
Well, that's awesome. But do you still have any aspirations to direct, or are you just good with writing now?
Yeah, no. I mean, absolutely. I think that the thing is, in order to pull that off, you have to make more movies, and you have to. If it were for right now, I'm trying to write more stuff, and some of the stuff that I'm writing, it's like the way that the system is set up. It's like these are all things that I'm learning as sort of a novice who got into this. It's like there's some things that you can write that you would be able to direct, and this actually goes for anybody that's listening to this who wants to get into movies. If you want to write and direct your own movie, then it should be more towards the Willy's Wonderland type of a thing. It should be all like one location, or very low budget, or a place that you could do in your home, like your hometown, things like that. You if you wrote like some big blockbuster, even if it was the best thing, because the money that they're putting into these things could be in the millions of dollars or the hundreds of millions of dollars, who's ever putting up that money won't necessarily believe that, even though you're a great artist, are the right person to direct it as a business wise. So they're going to find somebody that's got a proven track record, which is, both things are okay for me. I really think both things are okay. So I am focusing on doing, let's do a bigger one and maybe a smaller one, and just try and figure out what sticks the most. But I am figuring a lot of this stuff out as we go.
Yeah, and I think that's true about keeping it to smaller locations. I think that's what happens. Granted, I've never made a movie, but just from what I've noticed from watching movies, that the more successful ones are just intimate locations, where I feel like people on a lower budget, sometimes they have the ideas, but it's too much and it stretches the budget thin, whereas like with Willy's Wonderland, you keep it to one or two places and it just really works. Yeah,
I'd say that if you're going to do a movie, then that was my whole thing with Willy's Wonderland. It was like, keep it in just one. And Willy's Wonderland, we go outside for a little while. We go to the sheriff's office for a second. But like for the most part, like 90% of that movie all takes place in one location. And that makes it easy for everybody. That really lowers the cost because Willy's Wonderland is the outside is just an old bowling alley that they painted up and did a great job with the art, made it look really cool. But the inside is just a studio. And so like in one shot that you see, let's say they go into Siren Sarah's Fairy Forest or whatever. Siren Sarah's Fairy Forest only existed for like the 2 days that they were shooting it. As soon as they had shot those 2 days, the Fairy Forest was turned down and the arcade was built right in the same place. And then the arcade was only there for 2 days, and then that got torn down, and then all of a sudden it was the Willy's Wonderland stage. I mean, everything that you're seeing when you watch the movie, it looks like it's a different location, but yeah, it's just really like one place.
I didn't even notice that. That was really well done.
Yeah, that goes to the people who worked on the crew and the art direction and everybody that worked on that film. Is like, there's also only, the other crazy Willy's Wonderland fact is there's only one suit for all the animatronics. So if a suit got destroyed, then it's gone. It's off the board. So the way that they had to shoot it was like, make sure you get all the shots when they're nice and neat, like first and second days, when they're friendly animatronics, and then shoot all the stuff with Ozzy the Ostrich as much as you can, because once he's destroyed, his spine is ripped out, we can't go back and reshoot it. So it was a lot of like scheduling magic, the way that they were able to set up just the one location and the one animatronic and make sure that you don't, make sure you get all the things you need. And you think about it, like the very last shot in Willy's Wonderland, and if it's spoiler alert, everybody, if you don't want to listen for the next 5 seconds, close your ears. But he rips off Willy's head, and the animatronic oil spills all over the Willy's Wonderland logo in the backdrop of the stage. Well, they could only do that one time. It's like, rip off the head, the oil's going to splatter everywhere. And I talked to Kevin about it. I was like, how freaked out were you? He's like, very.
I got to imagine a lot of times he was freaked out with all the destruction to each one. They're like, this has to be done right.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was like harrowing, like 22 days. I mean, it really was like a short amount of time that they were able to pull off all the kind of miracle things about the film. It really was one of those things where you think like one thing goes wrong and it could totally end the whole project. And really they were able to consistently hit a home run every single day. Yeah.
And you wrote the short as well, and you played the janitor in the short. Who do you think's a better janitor, you or Nick Cage?
Me. No, there's no way. There's no way. Like the jealous Geo Parsons aspect of it when I first when I first made this thing, I was just like, oh, of course, there could never be another janitor. And then they're like, well, what about Nick Cage? And then yeah, okay. If you did 90 movies and an Academy Award and being considered one of the greatest actors alive, all right, I'm going to let that slide. That's like if you want to play pickup basketball and they're like, hey, Parsons, we're subbing you out for LeBron James. Oh, okay. All right, I can see that. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let it slide. No, he was awesome. And the thing is like, as good as I had written the janitor on paper, but it's just like janitor beats the hell out of animatronic. Next scene, he's the one that's able to take that character and add all like the idiosyncrasies that he has. Like he's the one that brought all that stuff. Like he's the one that comes up with all that stuff. Everybody knows like the pinball scene where he's dancing. Like he came up with the dancing pinball guy. He came up with all of this. Like it was weird because he's got a dog and a lizard, and those were his like inspirations for the film. Like he kind of emulated the janitor after his dog. And there's one scene where you can really see it really well if you go back and watch the movie. When he's in the hallway, he just defeats the alligator, Artie the alligator, and he just defeats Cammy Chameleon, and he's dragging her back through the hallway, and he sees Tito and Siren Sarah just kind of stop him, like get in his way, and you see him like get down, like you'll see in his body language, he gets down like a dog, like preparing to strike. So all those kind of really cool things that he found and just created the character, like took what I had done. And I say this a lot, everybody that worked on that movie took what I did and just elevated it from like a solid 4.8 to like a 9.6.
And I'd read about some of that Nick was really involved and had a lot of input into the film. Were you surprised by like how hands-on he was with the project?
Yeah, and I besides I took him on in table tennis in 2001 at an arcade in Westwood. I beat him, or not table tennis, it was virtual tennis, and I beat his ass playing virtual tennis. But that was the only time I had ever met him, and I didn't really even meet him for a second. He had just come to an arcade with his kid, and I happened to have played him at tennis. So I'd never, had any experience. I had no idea how he would respond to it or how much hands-on he would be. But no, he's like a guy that always had all of the answers immediately, because he's such a professional at not only acting, but movies in general. Every kind of thing that came up with the movie, he had an answer to. And yeah, I mean, people know it, but a lot of some of my original animatronics were changed because he's a really big fan of lizards and reptiles. And so that's how you got Cammy the chameleon and the alligator and the turtle and stuff in there, was just because, he's such a fan of those animals and wanted to, wanted that element added to the screenplay. But there was a lot of people this another cool thing about Nick Cage is like, there's a lot of people in the pre-production just leading up to it that share their 2 cents. And I think this happens in a lot of movies where people will give their opinion and then changes will be made based on that opinion. And for the most part, unless something was specifically out of the budget or we couldn't pull it off, Nick was like, nah, man, just keep it exactly as is because this is what I want to do. This is what I read. This is what I want to stick with. I don't want to change it up unless we absolutely have to. And was very protective of everything and very protective of myself and the story. When, I didn't know him. He didn't have to do that. And so he was really, really cool about all that. And he's been extraordinarily cool about the whole entire Willy's experience. Like it's really let Kevin and I have a lot of the press stuff as far as just doing podcasts with you guys and stuff. He was just like, you guys take it. You guys take the limelight. It's really, really cool stuff that he did for all of us. So, he, as far as a better janitor, still me, but he's a close second.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I gotta say, then I guess I gotta thank him because my favorite animatronic was Artie the alligator. Did you have Did you have a favorite one?
I liked Ozzy Ostrich, maybe because that was the first one that I. Yeah, it was the first one that I wrote, and Ozzy had to be like. I'd see, even though it's called Willy's Wonderland, like Ozzy ended up being like one of the most important ones because in the trailer for Willy's Wonderland he was featured, and there's a part in the trailer where, and it's in the movie obviously, where like he basically he fucks with Nick a little bit, and then Nick looks at him and is like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this ostrich, and you see Ozzy's eyes open and he knows he's about to get his ass kicked. That was so important. Like that changes the whole, that all of a sudden changes what anyone's expectation of the movie was, hinged on this animatronics ostrich's reaction to the janitor beating him up. And so that's why he had to, like, that's why I think Ozzy was my favorite, because he had to be scary, he had to be creepy, and then he had to sell it with that first fight. Because if that first fight didn't go well, the rest of the movie would have been it would have been dead right there. So Ozzy was always my favorite, just because of the responsibility he had to like kind of carry the film, and because he was like the first one that I thought of that was really creepy.
That's a really good answer. Now I read that it was originally called Willy's Wonderland. Is that true?
Yeah, when I first wrote it, it was called Wally's Wonderland, and the short film that I did was called Wally's Wonderland. And then I don't know, with something was it ended up being like a really lame story with just some sort of copyright legal thing with Wally or whatever. So there was Wally World and there was Wall-E, the Disney thing, and so they just changed it to Willy's Wonderland, I think, to avoid any of that kind of stuff. A lot of like things that I didn't know about this until the movie was being made, but there are a lot of legal loopholes that you have to jump through just to protect yourself and to protect the film. And I think that was one of them that they just. Yeah, maybe it would have been worth like, oh, let's put up a fight about this just in case. But they're like, nah, again, one wrong thing could have ended the whole movie. It's just better to change the vow and move on.
And were there any ideas you had written that didn't make it into the film?
No, I don't think so. People ask me, are there deleted scenes all the time? And one of the things I say is no, because there may have been a line here or two, here or there cut. But what happened was because the scheduling stuff that we talked about earlier, and because of the suit use, which we talked about earlier, and because of the limited amount of days that we talked about, Kevin really had to shoot it almost in sequence or in the way that it was. So there wasn't any time to waste with different scenes or different characters or different subplots. I mean, almost everything that was shot in the movie ends up in the film. Shot during the production ends up in the film. I'm trying to think if there was anything that. No, I mean I've thought about this. There's one scene where, like, in the Artie Alligator scene, there was a scene written. I guess it just didn't make the cut where Kaylee Callan watches her boyfriend get eaten by the alligator, and then she like opens the door that we see Nick kick down later on in the sequence. But she opens that door and she sees Liv and the janitor, and she's like, I want to go home. I want to get out of here. And then the alligator just grabs her by the hair and just yanks her back in. So I'd written that as like a fun joke, but either it wasn't shot because they didn't have time, or it just didn't make the final cut. So I think if there's anything, it's just that one little part where she runs out, looks at him, gets just dragged back in, and then the cut to would be like Liv just like, oh my God, oh no, and the janitor just not even caring.
And that urinal stop, was that a homage to American History X?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I wanted, originally we had it he had him in the urinal but just for purposes of like the actual thing is like I wanted him to give the gorilla a swirly in the toilet and then curb stomp him, but because of the way how narrow the stalls are and all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't have made sense. So they changed it to the urinal. It ended up working fine. But yeah, that's where I got it. American History X, absolutely.
And do you think it's safe for a man to consume that many energy drinks in a 24-hour time period?
No, I don't think so. And who knows what's in
that's
that
a
stuff.
lot.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, the thing is with the janitor, like I wanted to, when I was writing it, it was like, he should have some sort of vice that he likes, but I didn't want it to be too adult. Like I didn't want it to be like cigarettes or something like that, because I knew like, hey, a bunch of kids are gonna watch the movie. I should try and just keep it like kind of more hip and young and stuff. So I had it as like a cola that like he just like his jolts or whatever. And then I think it was a lady named Molly Coffey who did the production design, said, it'd be cool to give us create our own soda for the whole world. And so she was the one that came up with the idea of the punch pop. And Kevin really liked that, and so did I. And it ended up working out that now everybody's like, they should have marketed that drink. They should have found a way to create it. I know, yeah, I would totally buy it too. Probably make us go blind after 3 or 4 sips, but be worth it.
And like, why after he kills him does he just go back to cleaning? Like, he knows he's been trapped. Is it just because a job's a job? Yeah,
I mean, he's just doing his job. He doesn't care. He thinks that. I would say that the janitor believes that these animatronics are well beneath him, and he just wants to. He's honorable, and that he has agreed to clean up Willy's Wonderland, and as soon as it's clean in the morning, he gets his car back. So really, he just wants to get his car back, and these things are just hassling him. One of the people asked me, like, hey, there's a scene where, Liv grabs a knife, and she's going to go after Siren Sarah, and the janitor stops her. And I was like, yeah, of course the janitor would stop her. He's not going to have her destroy the property while he's trying to clean it and like get it done. Like that would make him look bad. Like his whole philosophy is like, don't start none, won't be none. So if they had just left him alone the whole night, there wouldn't have been an issue.
And I had read I think in February of 2021, there was a sequel being discussed. Has that moved along any further?
Yeah, I will say that I have talked to, it's Chicken Soup for the Soul that owns Willy's Wonderland. That's the studio that has Willy's Wonderland. And we've talked about it many times. I'm going to talk to him about it this coming week in like a couple days, just to kind of figure out a way that we could, continue on and do it. And the thing is just like, I wish we'd be able to just kind of turn them out John Wick style. That'd be great. We'd be on Willy's Wonderland 4 out in outer space by now. But
fourth one's always got to go to space.
Yeah, we got to get them outer space somehow. But it hasn't been that. It hasn't been that quick, and that's nobody's fault. I think that in 2021, a lot of people were still hesitant about the COVID stuff. And for a budget of that size, if we were shooting it then or got things going then, they just didn't know what the future of the disease was going to be. So they were a little bit hesitant. If something happened to Nick Cage and he got COVID during the shoot, even during like the original one, I mean, it would have just shut everything down, and it probably would have put the film out of business. So I think in 2021 they were a little hesitant about doing it. Then 2022, yeah, we've been talking, and I've come up with tons of ideas of things where it can go and things that can be done with it, and everybody seems open to it. So it's just a slow moving process, but I will say that it promising. I'd say it's promising. It's definitely not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot of people out there that would like to see it, and that's what I've tried to get across to people many times. And
what projects are you working on currently?
Doing some more comic books with the same people that did the Willy's Wonderland comic books. I figure that's something that is within my control and boundaries of easily to get stuff out. They do a lot of horror stuff. They do a lot of fun things in that genre, and so I'm focusing on some stuff with them. Again, 2023, I think we'll see more of it, and then a bunch of movies. But you're basically a vacuum salesman, just knocking on doors. Hey, do you want to buy this movie? Hey, do you want to make this movie? And most everybody says no, until you get to like Nick Cage, who says yes. So that's kind of the process I'm in. It's really opened up some opportunities to be able to pursue more stuff. But I wouldn't say that there's anything like specifically on the horizon other than know that I'm like spinning plates everywhere trying to make more stuff happen. Everybody's like, what's going on? What's the next thing? I'm like, I'm trying, guys. I swear.
And lastly, where can people find you on social media?
Oh, please, Twitter. So you'd Go Parsons, GoParsons, at Go Parsons, and same thing with the Instagram at Go Parsons. Those are the two best places to find me on the social media stuff. But hopefully, I think we did pretty well answering all the behind the scenes questions. I don't know what else anybody would want to know. You guys did a great job of coming up with this stuff. So I very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will say I have to thank my fiance because I didn't watch. It wasn't my pick. She put it on, and I was like, "What's this?" And she always knows I'm interested in a movie. Like if 15 minutes in, I'm on my phone, like trying to look up stuff about the movie. She always yells at me, just watch the movie first. And she was like, oh, you like this movie? I'm like, yeah, I like it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Willy's is definitely playing the long game with a lot of people. And it's been a lot of word of mouth and a lot of people just spreading the good word and being kind about it. So, John, Drew, I really appreciate you guys doing the same thing. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate you for coming on, man.
We definitely enjoyed having you on. Hopefully we'll get a Willy's Wonderland 2. And I mean, at least we have the comics coming out. So
that's true. Let's preach it. Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely love to talk to you again in the future. And yeah, just thank you for being on again.
Absolutely.
Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thank you again for Geo Parsons for joining us today. And up next week, we have, it's coming out on Shudder on September 15th, but we're going to have it for you September 12th. Speak No Evil, directed by Christian Tradiff, and we're going to have an interview with him as well next week, so make sure to
cannot wait to
tune
talk
in.
about it either, my God.
Yeah, we don't like to spoil how we feel about movies, but you need to watch it when this movie comes out.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say for now. But make sure to follow us online at High on Horror 420, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check out our website, highonhorror.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter and you'll get episodes like next week and our guest announcements emailed directly to your inbox. You can also send us some Puff Puff Ask questions for next week at highonhorror420@gmail.com. And I guess I'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.